IO Production says, "Here comes the money." Yeah, we're gonna get to that, dude. That's the top story. You know what? Actually, before I get to this next chat, let's go ahead and get into the Shane McMahon story. So I did write about it earlier in the week on Patreon. So if you want to see my full article, please check it out and throw a comment on there if you're a Patreon subscriber. Please let me know what you think, because I actually put a little bit of effort into that one because I wanted people to like it. So if you do like it, put a comment. I got a couple on there, but
I'm disappointed we can't use the "Here Comes the Money" theme in this part of the show because copyright strikes and all that. This just disappoints me.
Yeah.
Speaking of disappointing,
earlier in the week, there was a picture that was leaked with a meeting between Tony Khan and one Shane O'Mac, Shane McMahon himself, the prodigal son of WWE, and they were having a meeting in the DFW airport, Dallas Fort Worth Airport, right outside of Arlington, because I think they taped Collision and Ring of Honor there tonight. I'm pretty sure.
That's the esports arena. Kind of a cool setup, actually.
I actually dig it. I have some nitpicky stuff about the way that it looks. Like, if they were to ask me my opinion on how to make it look better, I would give it to them, because I just personally don't like the hard cam facing a flat crowd that's all seated at the same level. I like to see the crowd ascending upwards and like a bleacher setup. I prefer that look. I preferred it in mid, look good on Mid-South. All of your studio wrestling, they always had the crowd ascending upwards. That is my preference. I think they could be able to do that, but I do think that looks great, though.
I don't like yellow. Like, it seems like that video board defaults to the color yellow, and that bothers me in general. So I don't like. There's a giant yellow splotch from the graphic over my head as I speak. But I don't know. I don't like the yellow, but I do like the setup. I think it's cool. I don't know the design. I don't know what the design of an esports arena is. Like, I don't know if it ascends like a regular stadium or if it actually like descends in the seats. I have no clue. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know, but I get the feeling that they could buy some mobile bleachers and just kind of wheel them in and put them up and have individualized seats.
I think the idea behind this is to spend as little money as humanly possible on these tapings.
That couldn't be more than $500 to get those.
Oh no, it's way more than that.
No, to like rent them.
Oh, trust me. We have to do it for our tournaments every year. That shit can be expensive.
Oh, okay.
It's not cheap. Not as cheap as you would think they are. I'll tell you that.
Well, back to Shane McMahon.
Yeah, sorry.
we got off track. Yeah, him and Tony Khan met. It's pretty funny because I think we might have talked about it a little bit whenever the story first came out. It was I guess Conrad Thompson was talking about it on his show, and then Jim Ross was like, no, I think this is a possibility. And then people kind of went after them a little bit unfairly because look what's happening now. And it seems as though they're talking that photograph was absolutely planted by AEW. Like Tony Khan wanted that
Tony's face, like, oh no, I've been caught.
Yeah, and you know what? And he had a fresh, I think he had a fresh sparkling water in front of him. So the person that poured that was definitely Jimmy Jacobs. So he's likely the guy that took the picture and strategically released that over to Wrestle Talk.
I like that Mercedes is taking credit for it.
Yeah,
she knows how to keep herself at the center of everything. Smart girl.
Yeah, very, very, very smart. Brian Alvarez seems to think that they're working out something that he could probably come onto the show, but he definitely wasn't on Dynamite last night. Man, what do you think? Like, do you think that A, it's a possibility, and B, if he does come in, what are your thoughts on the whole thing?
Oh, I think it's more than a possibility. I think that Tony Khan put that thing out for a reason. What that reason is, other than him showing up on the show, I don't know. Like, okay, when I first saw this, I clipped it and I sent it to you guys in our group. There's you, me, and Muse, and I said, there is no God.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of how I felt about this. And then I don't know if warmed up to it is the way I would describe it. But I mean, I don't know. I guess it would get people talking. I don't know if it gets them talking for the right reason or not.
Yeah.
Like, I find Shane to be the least offensive McMahon, right? But I also think he might be the least talented. So I don't know what he gets you.
Yeah. So because I definitely like what he does in the ring, I don't think is value added to AEW.
You have Darby Allin.
I just don't. He's in his 50s. Like, I know he's all hopped up on HGH and all that stuff. He's probably still in very good shape and respect.
Sweats like a mother.
once I'm able to get that stuff, I'm probably gonna be jacked too. I just gotta, I gotta get out of the current situation I'm in. But once I'm allowed to have that, I probably will have it. But so there's no value added there. He's not a good promo. Like he just like his last run in WWE was not very good as far as promo wise. I think really like he is very charismatic on television. I'll give him that. Like,
yeah, always
like
has been.
he is a charismatic performer. He'll fall off of stuff. Like if you ask him to, doesn't matter how high, he will like jump off of things and crash through some stuff. And so you could probably do something like that. The problem is, and here's where I have the biggest issue. And there's two issues that I have. The first issue is this is another step for AEW in the wrong direction, losing their identity, right? And we talked about it here before, and Joe and Rich talked about it over there on their show. What they were was the anti-WWE, and a move by bringing in Shane McMahon, it's one more step towards what they were rebelling against in the first place. Now, it could be like, hey, we're sticking it to WWE by bringing him in, but I don't know that people actually see it like that. I think people actually see it like we're just bringing in another like old guy from WWE, and we're starting to become them.
Well, that started a long time ago. I think honestly, like, because it's Shane, and Shane is the one that like was out for so long and has like been kind of not taken seriously as much as the rest of them. I think you could play it off, but I think again, perception wise, I don't know how it helps you any way, shape, or form. Like maybe it makes for a popped rating for a couple Dynamites.
Yeah.
But unless you have a killer storyline idea that's not regurgitated from 20 years ago, I don't know. I mean, like I'm not gonna get angry about this because they've already disappointed me to no regard. Like I missed the show last week. That's something 5 years ago I never would have thought about doing. I never would have put a movie that I've seen 100 times over that. But I am now because like I don't know, like in the last year and a half, they've kind of made me I can catch it some other time. So I guess I'm not mad about it, but I'm also not one of the AEW fans that go, no, this is a good thing because I'm just like kind of whatever, whatever.
Hey,
do something cool. I don't know.
Am I wrong, or are AEW fans absolutely trying to talk themselves into this?
They're trying to talk themselves into liking. Like AEW fans strive to be what TNA fans are, which is just fall on the sword no matter what happens, right?
Yeah.
A TNA fan is like TNA fans are like Jonestown, right? Like Jim Jones telling them to drink the Kool-Aid very happily. Those hardcore TNA fans, like the ones you made mad last week, I'll do it. They'll do it wholeheartedly. What do you think twice about it? TNA, greatest show in the world. Like it's AEW fans really want to be that, but like they have to be coaxed into it a little bit. They're like those people that worship the Hail Bob comet that really didn't want to kill themselves, but just kind of had to go along with it. Like
but like after a while, they were convinced. It's like, you know what? I bet this Kool-Aid does taste good. Like,
I bet it's okay. I bet there really is a spaceship behind that comet. The more I think about it, that sounds real. It's got there has to be a spaceship behind that comet. That's your AEW fan. We're TNA fan, all about it. Yes, totally.
Yeah, John Muse says dangerous perception move, and that's kind of what that's what I was talking about with my article. And here's what I wrote. I put the possibility of Shane joining AEW raises significant questions about the direction of the company and its identity. AEW is born as a challenger brand, a movement that promised to be an alternative to WWE with a fresh approach to pro wrestling. It was meant to be the company that raged against the WWE machine. I said that here on the show a couple weeks ago. Offering something different to fans disillusioned by WWE's scandals, corporate approach, and lame storytelling. And I think if you bring Shane McMahon in, you're starting to remind AEW fans of why they hated WWE in the first place. And he was a part of that. Mm-hmm. He was absolutely like a reason why people were rebelling against WWE, because he was all over the show and people just didn't want to see him anymore.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, but I feel like that bridge has already been crossed. Like I feel like we've done so much of that. Like I think we did that when Broken Matt Hardy came in March of 2020 when Matt Hardy was teleporting on the screen. Like you kind of like that ship has sailed with this company, and I do think more often than not they do better, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, there's still too many people that grew up in the McMahon window of how pro wrestling is supposed to be done and just think this is the way it's supposed to be. And they're wrong. They're wrong, by the way. But, like, I don't know, like when people tell you who they are, believe them. And I think this is kind of who AEW is and what they think wrestling should be, is like WWE. Like, why at this point, I'm like, why should I expect anything different? Like Tony wanted to be different at first, but then you went and hired Pat Buck, right? And you went and hired Jimmy Jacobs. And granted, he brought him a very expensive bottle of water. Like that water is ridiculously expensive, but he gets to pitch his stupid fucking ideas because he's got Tony's ear in the plane. So, you know, this is who they are. Tony has no cool ideas. We would see him if he did.
Got another super chat from Glassdoor Gamer.
Dude, Glassdoor Gamer. Glassdoor.
Brother, we love you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
The rest of you guys are freeloaders. Yeah, you're the man. The rest of you guys suck.
like King of the North, all he does is roast me every week.
Yeah.
Glassdoor Gamer pay his money and then he just wants to shit on Triple H. And I have nothing but respect for it. He said, let Shane cook Triple H on the mic. I think that would be like, if he were coming to do that, I think that would be great. I just don't think he's going to say anything bad about his family. He's not that guy. He's a very proud McMahon. He's very proud of his heritage. He's very proud. He's very proud of who he is. And I bet he's still very proud of who his dad is. I guarantee that him and his dad are still on speaking terms and all that. And in fact, he's probably upset that Triple H and his sister pushed Vince out. And so this might be his way of sticking it to them because of what happened to his dad. Now, that's pure speculation on my part, but I could see him thinking that, you know what I mean?
I'm going to do a dime store psychological analysis of Shane McMahon for a moment. I could be totally wrong, but it seems like he was like you called him the prodigal son. Like that phrase gets thrown around a lot, but Mike, you actually used it properly. Like he's the guy who came back. That's what the prodigal son is. So kudos to you on that. Like he should be running that company, but he isn't because like everyone says his ideas really weren't that great. I don't know. I don't think any of his businesses have worked out phenomenally.
And I do want to touch on that. So finish your thought because I do have a question for you.
Put a pin in that.
Yeah.
But he's also the one who doesn't have any scandal attached to him. Like everybody says Shane is genuinely a nice guy. Like it's hard to find people who actually will say bad things about Shane McMahon. Like, and part of that is I don't think he has it in him. Do I think he loves Paul Levesque? No, I do not. Like when it's very clear that your father, who you've struggled to gain his approval your entire life, clearly loves the son-in-law more than he loves you.
Yeah.
And we don't even know what's going on with their relationship. So, I don't think he'll do that. I don't think he would come on and shit on his brother-in-law. Would I love that? Would I go to Pro Wrestling Tees and buy a Shane McMahon t-shirt if he shit on Triple H on television? Yes. Would it be good for that company? No, not really. And people go, oh, that's so WCW. Dude, WWE did that too. Plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty. So get off it, you nerds.
Yeah. And honestly, and TNA did that stuff. I feel like if they brought him in and the whole idea was for him to try to take down WWE on the mic, A, he's not very good on the mic, but B, I don't see any value added there at all. So therein lies the problem. I don't see a reason why they should be bringing Shane in. Now, I did have a conversation with somebody, and then I saw a bunch of people saying that, you bring Shane in because he was an executive for WWE for a long time and he's been through the fire, and then he had his own side businesses and all this and that. And I'm like, guys, if he were any good as an executive in WWE, it would be him running the company right now and not Triple H. And honestly, Triple H was not even the first choice. The first choice was Shane, and they realized early on that he wasn't going to work out. So then they pivoted to Stephanie. Stephanie was supposed to be in the Triple H seat, and then they ultimately ended up pivoting to Triple H out of necessity. And so I if he were any good at running a wrestling promotion, he would still be in WWE and he'd be the top guy right now. And if people want to bring up his outside business ventures, like he had a Chinese video on demand service that I'm pretty sure went under, right? Like it lasted for a little bit, but it went under and he ended up coming back to WWE because of it. And he was making a ton of money in WWE whenever he made his return. So I think that could he offer some advice to Tony Khan? I don't know what his skill sets are. He could probably tell some stories of where they failed in the past. I don't know if he's capable of doing that, but would you want Shane McMahon as an executive for your company? I would be cautious, especially for those that are on the outside of the wrestling business that don't actually know these people. I would be cautious about putting your name out there saying that they should hire Shane McMahon because I don't think you know what he's good at.
Wrestling fans have this weird perception of people who come up in the business, right? Like it's fostered by people in the business who tell us, well, that guy, like with Dave, you hear this a lot with Dave. Well, that guy never wrestled, so what does he know about anything, right? You listen to anyone who has a podcast with Conrad, they'll tell you that, or Jim Cornette or something stupid like that. Like we overvalue. Like I've heard people say this guy should be a booker. Like with Bryan Danielson, I'm like, I hear all the time, Bryan Danielson should book the company, and I say, why? What makes you think that Bryan Danielson should be the booker of this company? Well, I like him as a wrestler.
Yeah.
Okay. Ric Flair was a terrible booker. You know, like this is like having, I mean, one of the worst. Yeah, terrible. Like, yeah. I don't this. We have this idea that people who are successful in wrestling know wrestling, and history time and again tells us that is not the case, right? We overvalue people based on where they've been or what their name is. Like, there's a lot of people who think Shane has like some of Vince in him, and Vince for the big scumbag that he is a very good businessman when it came to wrestling. Yeah. He was not a good businessman in anything outside of wrestling. People have to understand that. So I don't know what kind of value, like people just assume, well, that guy, that's probably a lot of WWE hires. Like, well, they work for WWE. So clearly they know what they're doing. And that's how you get Pat Buck and Jimmy Jacobs ruining the AEW product every chance they get.
Yeah. And, Kevin Dunn's like coffee maker, whatever that guy's name, Michael Mansory. That's why you got him kind of ruining the production of the show.
To be fair, Keith Mitchell was ruining production on Dynamite before it was cool.
Yeah, Keith Mitchell was handling that all himself. But and then Glassdoor Gamer, another 2 spot.
Dang.
Thank you, sir. He said, didn't he tell Vince to buy UFC? He absolutely did. Mm-hmm. So he was ahead of the game on the UFC. I don't think Vince would have been able to run UFC the way that Dana White and the Fertitta brothers did. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that if Vince had bought UFC, even if he put Shane McMahon in charge, he would not have let Shane run that company, and they would have ran it to the ground, just like they did XFL, the World Bodybuilding Federation, and everything that they tried, WWE movies, everything that they tried outside of pro wrestling.
Casino.
Yeah, the casino, WWF New York. They couldn't even run a restaurant. So
restaurant, well, that's hard. No, that's okay.
It is.
Running a restaurant is very hard. I've watched Robert Irvine shows that have told me that.
Yeah, hey, I was a shift manager at Pizza Hut, and that was one of the tougher jobs I've ever had. That sucked.
Did you know Jim Hurt?
You know what? I was a shift manager at Pizza Hut in Missouri. But it was about 15 years after Jim Hurt had left the Pizza Hut business.
Deep cut for old school wrestling fans. So
yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't see, unless Shane has some ideas and he's really motivated and feels like he has something to prove in the wrestling space, and he's kind of blowing you away with his ideas. Because again, we've always heard that Shane was an idea guy, but that his ideas were terrible. Quite frankly, but hold on. A lot of that comes through Vince and Vince's people, and Vince also had a lot of terrible ideas in this time. So I don't know. Maybe the source is poisoned. I don't know. I don't know what his ideas are. I mean, like I would be hesitant if I had $1 billion wrestling company. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's the guy I would hire, but I don't know. Maybe we should consider the source when hearing about Shane's terrible ideas. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what any of them are, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I don't have any evidence
Me neither.
that he would be a successful booker.